Hello, welcome to This Week in Japan. I'm the Gaijin John.
I'm not allowed to talk.
And together we are Geeks and Gaijins, bringing you the local news and replacements for ripped tutus. He's the Geek Tom, by the way.
I know, that's me, yes. I'm already contributing at a higher capacity than usual, so don't expect much from me this week.
He made a joke. It's insane.
We don't have many of those here.
No.
Apart from us two.
And as well as us two, we have today Hayfever, POTUS scams, an election in society, tire spikes, Pringles, and the one place that has not been corrupted by capitalism, space! We're talking about space.
I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space!
In what is supposed to be cute corner, but it's cute inspiration, happy corner time. Yay.
This is now Good Vibes Corner.
Getting all those good vibes. Okay, Japan is full of cute stuff, but I can't just bring you cats every week. I mean, I could, but...
We can just replace it with this week's cat is...
Hello, Hana-chan. Hello, Yuzu-chan. Yeah. No, this week we are going to be inspired by going to the moon, but sadly it seems like capitalism is going to the moon. This is a Japanese billionaire, Yusaka Maezawa, who has the title perhaps of one of the most eccentric billionaires in the world.
God, you gotta work hard to get that title.
Well, it seems he's working with another couple of them, because he is the founder of the online fashion retailer ZozoTown, and he's decided that he's going to spend his money. He already does some good stuff. He supports arts and sciences. He donates stuff. Yeah. But now he has started a project called the Dear Moon Project with Elon Musk.
Oh, no. I should have known this was coming as soon as you mentioned space, John.
This might seem like a bit, like, scary now, but no, he is...
Good vibes, good vibes, good vibes.
Good vibes, good vibes. He's inviting 8 people from around the world to fill seats that he's paid for on the first commercial spaceship, which is expected to take flight in 2023. So Thomas, you, and all our listeners at home, as long as they're listening to this in the next 2 days after it's released, can go and apply to go into space.
Space!
And all expenses
Let me
trip.
quickly just check the last thing Elon Musk made blew up. Oh, that recently. I'll just pass on this one, John, okay?
I think that he's going to be there as well. Maybe.
That is comforting. If we all die in a fire wreck, at least I'll take 1 billionaire out with me.
Essentially, it's time for you, Thomas, to pitch why you should go into space. By the way, this wasn't meant to be cute and inspiration corner by the fact that Thomas just feels like, you know what I'm going to do with my life? Kill a billionaire.
Hey, they told me to shoot for the stars, and I just sort of misheard some of that, and I got the shoot bit, and I got the stars involved. Just let me figure out the rest, and I'll be fine. Okay. But no, it would be really nice, obviously, to get the opportunity to go to space, and really cool that Japan's involved in space exploration. It's not just focused on 1 or 2 countries, so that is nice. Good vibes, good vibes, good vibes.
Currently, there's a Japanese astronaut. He just recently did a spacewalk. I was talking to some of my students about it. It's really kind of cool.
Neat.
But Thomas, if you want to be an astronaut, you've got 5 stages of interviews and screenings, which is actually surprisingly low.
You mean I can't just apply saying, please, for the love of God, jettison me into space, and I'll go like, signed! Send this man into space!
Guess this man a space.
I'll just look at my resume and go, yeah, this guy needs to go. He'll be doing everyone a favour, including himself.
Well, the thing is, I'm sure I've applied for jobs with more than 5 stages of interviews. And that was just for a graduate scheme. So step 1, you can do it right now at home, Thomas, is pre-registration, which is open to everyone. Doesn't matter if you sniff your own farts or make a podcast, or both. You can
I really
just
think making a podcast should eliminate you from the running. I feel like that should be an immediate cancellation. Anyone who is running a podcast has already squandered what human potential they had left.
At the website dearmoon.earth.
Ah, that's cute.
But so pre-registration closes on March 14th at midnight Pacific Standard Time. And then stage 2, after that, will commence the document-based screening. And they'll send out more information about that on March 15th. And we don't know what that'll be. Maybe, like, your CV, maybe some essays, maybe some check of Instagram followers, I don't know. Follow me at Instagram at @thegaijinjohn. Stage 3 involves a screening based on assignments. And then stage 4 is online interviews, and stage 5 is final interviews and medical evaluation, which are expected to take place at the end of May. That's fast!
They wanted to get you... Well, they got to get you out there for 2023, didn't you say? They got to have a quick turnaround on this.
Yeah, I know, but they're doing your med-evals at the end of May, and we're not even sure if it's going to get to 2023 or not.
You'll be qualified to go on a spaceship before you've had your COVID test come in, is what I'm hearing.
I can't go to space. I've just booked a holiday.
There's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to go to space, be one of the first humans who ever go commercially. But you see, I'm fully booked, son. I just can't find the time.
But pre-registration is free with no commitments, and you get a free crew candidate certificate.
Hey! Now remember, kids, do not forge your application to the spaceship, regardless of whether or not you're dying of a terminal disease, because you will end up in a murder dome with like 11 other people your age, and which may or may not be the Matrix. I haven't actually got that part of the game yet, so I wouldn't know. But
the thing is, this you could turn this very easily into a young adult like dystopian future. It's like even the sets of screening based on assignments. It's like we'll drop you into a murder dome. The one who breaks out gets to have an interview.
That do be what the job market be like, though.
But yeah, so you can sign up right now, and if you do pre-register, you get your face and like your country's little flag on this certificate, like which makes it look like your face is in a spacesuit.
See, you almost had me, but then you said I'd have my country's flag on the certificate, and that's an instant disqualification for me. I don't want any association with this country.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
So if you're feeling like, yeah, I should do this, but I gotta, what does he want? What is he looking for in potential crewmates? And he says, first,
10 years experience.
Whatever activity you're into, by going into space, I hope that you can push its envelope to help other people and greater society in some way. So as you said, Thomas, podcasters are totally banned.
Podcasters need not apply.
He wants people who can use their experience in space to do even greater things with their work than before. Second, Maizawa wants passengers that are willing and able to support other crew members who share similar aspirations. Is this just social networking in space?
Maritime law was too restrictive, so the next thing they came up with is going into space, because there are no laws in space. Apart from, I don't know, maritime laws.
Monkey knife fights in space.
You joke, John, but we all know where this is going. As soon as they turn the cameras off at the International Space Station, that place is going to turn into such a hive of scum and villainy, the likes of which you've never seen.
This made me think of a question. Are there laws in space?
I think, if I remember The Martian, which is a really bad way of doing this, there are maritime laws that apply in space. Which are like
it's governed
written in the
by
1800s.
It's governed by international law, whatever that means. 107 countries are party to the Constitution of International Space Law, the 1967 Outer Space Treaty. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, because I remember we studied this in high school. It was all about whether or not you could put nuclear weapons in space.
Well, those are like UN bits, but this is like... Theoretically, Thomas, you could have a lawyer in court say, totally seriously, according to international space law.
Why do you think the Americans were so keen to set up their own space force? It's so that they could, bring democracy to space.
Space!
But it's the only place that is unblemished by capitalism.
I think Tim Curry may either be outdated or have lied to you, John. I don't know which one it is.
No! Anyway, this was supposed to be Cute Slice Inspiration Corner. You might be able to go to space. Who knows? Probably won't be you. Probably be someone more interesting. Sorry.
You honestly have more chance of winning the lottery because you don't need qualifications for the lottery. But, I mean, it's free to apply.
Yeah? And you get a certificate.
Yeah. Get a gold star.
Isn't that just a participation trophy? They got us again, Thomas.
God, the erosion of society as we know it is that they're giving out space certificates to anyone whose space applies to anything.
Well, the thing is, space is still part of a society, Thomas, as we just noted with international space law. But do you know who is also part of a society? A man running for Chiba gubernatorial election. It's time for Crime Corner. Gubernational, sorry, not gubernatorial. Well, this is kind of crime, because guess what? Organised politics is crime. But no, we've just gone, welcome to the Anarchist Gaijin podcast. I think this is more interesting, like, in terms of, like, crime stuff, as opposed to the person he is running against, because we'll get into actual crime right after this, don't worry. So this is in Chiba. There's a race for the governor of Chiba Prefecture. The thing is, like, usually the incumbent governor would just win it automatically because democracy. But the current governor is retiring. And so there are now 8 candidates who have entered the fray. And one of them is a 40-year-old man who dresses up in a Joker costume. Yeah.
I'm the Joker, baby.
It's like a mixture of, do you want to know how I got these scars, mixed with society.
That sounds like... You know what? Despite how poor that description really is, it gave me all the information I needed. It does look like a really half-assed attempt to be Joaquin Phoenix. Like, he's got the jacket, and then he just slapped on some white makeup.
But
I don't really know what's going on.
I don't know why you wouldn't vote for him, Thomas, because he has announced his candidacy with the party to make all of Chiba a land of dreams and magic.
That is code for drugs. I'm not going to... we know that's code for drugs.
The thing is, there are at least 2...
Dreams and magic? Nah.
The thing is, there are at least 2 other interesting candidates. This including a man called Teruki Goto, who is part of the Basic Income Party, who I think we covered a couple of months ago as he appeared in TV in a poop-stained diaper when he was running for Tokyo governor.
Somehow I've completely forgotten that story, and it's hitting me. That headline hits me new all over again. What the hell is going on? I've already got Joker candidate and poopy diaper candidate now, so it can only be good from here.
Basically, it's the equivalent. It's basically the equivalent of the monster raving loony party in the UK. It's making fun and using, like, laws. The reason this guy essentially stripped off, he basically got almost naked in a televised campaign speech, was that, this was last June, actually. Election regulators, you have to give each candidate an equal amount of time And so if you're an official candidate, people get to do stupid stuff. And this is usually... The thing is, if you get 10% of the vote, you get your deposit back. But the deposit does cost an awful lot. The main reason, though, that our man is running, this is Joker Man, also known as Yusuke Kawai.
There is nothing kawaii about this guy.
No, there's one less I. One less I. That's really confusing. It is...
He has two, as far as I can tell, John. He hasn't got an eye patch.
The thing is, the reason he might be running is he apparently has a rival. And he wants to annoy his rival, who is a candidate named Masayuki Hiratsuka, who is a former Protect the Nation from NHK member. In short, there's another like monster raving loony party in Japan, which is like anti the BBC equivalent party, but just like don't... It's based on some valid stuff because the NHK do some weird things. However, Masayuki Hiratsuka is not a great dude at the moment because he's the current head of the People's Sovereignty Party. Thomas, I want to give you three.
Interesting.
I want to give you three guesses.
Interesting.
I want to give you three guesses what the People's Sovereignty Party stands for.
Gonna have to go with ethno-state on that one, John. Gonna just go straight in there.
Oh no! I'm afraid you've got that one wrong. It's actually the very easy. Masks are horrible, and COVID-19 is just a cold, as well as vaccines are dangerous.
See, I could have used those two extra guesses, but I'm not sure I'd have got the answer right anyway. So, fair enough.
I think we can all say here that we from the Geeks and Gaijin say Masayuki Hiratsuka. He is standing to be governor of Chiba, though. In terms of journalistic equality, all the other candidates as well.
Now the Joker party that advertises drugs doesn't sound so bad anymore. I think I'll take that.
Yeah. However... The main issue here is that lots of the ways that governors get elected in Japan is that they go out on the street and give speeches. And that's where the traditional candidates where their strength is. It's going around and giving speeches and getting people to turn up to the polling places. However, Chiba is still in a state of emergency. And there'll also be the mayoral election in Chiba on the same day. Which means that likely these, I want to say, stupid candidates. The makeup and the anti-vax guy and the nappy guy are all stupid candidates. Only one of those, I think, would be annoyed with that statement. So they have, a much larger online followings. So... they might get ahead in... Well, they might get some kind of advantage. I don't think they're going to win. If Joker Man wins, I will go and visit this Chiba land of magic and give them a report on location from the land of dreams and magic. You ready for actual crime now, Thomas?
Yes, I suppose it's about time we get to actual crime corner, yes.
Because he was dressed up as a criminal. Whereas what if someone who sounds like a criminal?
Yes, now I remember what headline you sent to me. Carry on, John.
Yeah. Because this is a fraudster in Aichi Prefecture who allegedly called people asking them for money as President Donald Trump.
I'm still in the state of shock that this is a thing that's happening. I don't understand it. Please explain to me how this is a thing.
So there's not much to explain. This is a man called Yoshihiro Fusano, who's a 44-year-old nursing care worker. And apparently he ran this scam during December 2018 and January 2019. And what he'd do is he'd call up his targets and introduce himself as Donald Trump. And he would then speak in purposely stilted and broken Japanese and tell them, You are under contract for international insurance. In order to cancel it, you have to pay a cancellation fee. And then tell them to transfer money to a designated bank account.
Did that work?
Well, he apparently managed to get about 900,000 yen, which is almost 9,000 US dollars.
That's $9,000 he should not have been able to earn doing this.
But
I know Japan is not as familiar with US politics as they are Japan politics, but there's still something suspect if the President of the United States calls you up about your insurance.
I know, Thomas, I speak to Suga daily. We discuss car insurance. He'll get me back on that loan. Because the thing is, this man, he does state that I didn't steal anything. I didn't con anyone. A quote from him, I borrowed the money. I did not swindle anyone. The victims are delusional.
So he gave all the money back, is what you're telling me, John. He gave all the money back, right? If he just borrowed it, he just gave it money back. A little bit of interest, standard business practice.
I feel like he would argue that because he's currently in prison or something. Yeah. To be honest, there might be a really sad version to this because he is a nursing care worker, which sounds like he looks after elderly people. So
he's definitely conned the shit out of them.
Yeah, so I feel like it might be the thing of he realizes like which elderly people he can con by just saying, this is like this is a big person of authority telling you to give them money. So they do. That's kind of sad.
It is bizarre thinking about how much stuff there is about American politics that makes its way over to Japan. I suppose it's not so surprising considering how closely the two countries have been linked since the 1950s. But still, learning that there's anti-masks and anti-vaccine sentiment, there's a whole bunch of QAnon garbage going on in Japan at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
And also that someone can con people out of money using the voice of Donald Trump is just... It's so bizarre. It makes me question, considering we have the anti-mask, anti-vaccine and QAnon stuff in England, whether someone could have pulled the same stuff over here. And people are like, yeah, sure, that sounds like Donald Trump. I'll send him money. It's for international insurance.
Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know what else to say, except there's someone else in Japan who's just been arrested for throwing caltrops on the road.
Any particular reason why?
Just for our listeners at home, Thomas, do you want to explain what caltrops are?
For my limited knowledge of caltrops from Pokemon and D&D, they're basically lots of really small spikes that you throw out on the ground to, you either throw them on paths to make it difficult for people to walk on, or throw them on roads to pop tires and such. But they're quite nasty little things because you put all your weight on them.
Yep.
So they really do destroy whatever you stick in them.
Yeah, but mostly being your feet or tires. This is one 55-year-old man in Gifu City who was arrested for his collection of 66 handcrafted caltrops.
Handcrafted?
Indeed.
What? I mean, I don't know where you'd buy this stuff.
Some of them were simple as 3 screws held together by vinyl tape and broken CDs.
Ow.
Yeah.
Why does he have these?
Well, apparently he just put them in the road? Because there apparently been dozens of reports of tyres being punctured by crudely made caltrops, which go back to June of 2019, with even report of a police car having hit them.
Oh, well, you done goofed now, son. You got the police involved. They're going to be hiding out in front of your house under a tarp now.
On February 2nd of this year, he was caught by a street camera when he placed one of his homemade caltrops on Sakura Street, because this is Japan, at 7:40 in the evening. And it then ended up popping the tire of a car driven by a woman in her 60s. And it has now led to his arrest. Yeah, so again, if you know Pokemon, it's the move Spikes. The Japanese Caltrops are something called in Japanese as Makibishi. But yeah, the suspect reportedly admitted to charges of violating the Road Traffic Act and destruction of property. And not possible grievous bodily harm. I don't know if that exists.
That could kill
Japan.
someone if they lost control of their car, or could injure a very small child. So,
or just hurt you, like. Oh wow!
I feel like that's the least extreme of the three options, but yes,
I've just seen pictures of these.
They're gonna be horrible because they're poorly made and very sharp. Like, you'll probably also get an infection from stepping on one of those. Still, the mind boggles at what exactly the motivation for doing this is, because you've got to have some serious issues if you're willing to make 66 of these things on your own.
Yep, well, I can't understand it. I really can't. But you know what I also don't understand, Thomas?
Many things.
Well, many things. And this week's snack break. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
As per usual.
The
greatest mysteries of Japan is found in their food, it seems.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I have already eaten this week's snack break, so it's not so much a snack break as me just talking about my dinner.
Yay.
However, this was something I found in the store. I bought it, I didn't just find it on the floor. And this, Thomas... Thomas does not know what this is yet. Would you like to explain to the people at home what is in this picture?
Is that sour cream and onion Pringles noodles, John?
Yes, it is.
What?
Yeah, you can find all these pictures on the Gaijin Draw on Instagram, but I've broken down the process of making sour cream and chive flavoured yakisoba noodles.
I'm not particularly mad, because sour cream and onion are fantastic Pringles. But, yeah, I would not have imagined putting them on noodles. That one eluded me. I'm gonna have to try that at some point now that I know it exists.
Well, there's not a don't. Thomas, first stop. So, first of all, I want to say I hope you're all happy because this box was 700 bloody calories, and it's just carbs. It's just carbs and fat and salt. And
you said you went to the gym today, John.
Yeah, I know. I'm bloody glad I did. Otherwise, I don't think I could have dealt with it.
I think you might have at most broken even, if not still be at a loss after this.
Yeah, so this is how you make... This is something that I've had a couple of times in Japan. This is something called yakisoba. But this is like instant yakisoba. So Japan has, like we do everywhere, Japan has like pot noodles. Which was actually invented by a Chinese man. It's very strange. Or they were from China. Ramen is seen as a Chinese food in Japan. It's weird. But anyway, this kind of noodles you can get in a box. And what you do is you then pour the box full of water, and then after leaving it for 3 minutes with the lid on, you then has a special tab that you pull and you drain it. So you end up with dry cooked noodles after pouring boiling water into it, and you then add the sachets and sauces and whatever. Yeah, and so that's exactly what this was, but the sachets and sauces were sour cream and onion powder and oil. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to hearing what that was like.
Well, one I do want to say, like, the way of making yakisoba, like this way of making yakisoba, is really, really fun. Like, I think it would be a really big thing in the UK because they're relatively cheap. They're like £1 or $1.50 or something, and you get them in loads of different flavors. I've had like roast beef flavored ones. I've not had many recently, but yeah, I saw this and went like, I wonder what Pringles flavored noodles taste like. Thomas, they taste like
John.
Pringles.
Say it isn't so, John.
I kind of hated myself whilst eating them, but it's the thing of the noodles are just carbs. So the noodles are just all semi-flavorless carbs. So, like, you're just adding, like, the flavor packet and some oil, which I think had some of the a more oniony flavor on it, plus the packet with, like, salt and sodium and whatever in it. It was just... It's just the flavoring from sour cream and onion Pringles put on the noodles. My brain. It was good. Like, it filled me up. It was a meal, but I just ate 700 calories of just carbs and It also doesn't look too exciting once it was done. Like,
Just looks like noodles.
yeah,
Looks like noodles, a little bit of salt or something sprinkled on top.
yeah. It's like a special powder of it. So there's powder. One of the sachets is powder. One of the sachets is oil. You pour them on and then you mix them. Yeah, I don't know what to say, but Japan wins, but at what cost? At what cost? I feel like this is the kind of thing that Snack Break was made for. Things that are, like, not, like, bad or interesting, just things that I'm confused by. Like, we can see everyone go to Japan and try yaki udon, or try, like, something or try, like, that's, like, a red bean paste. That's Japanese McDonald's. No, this is Pringles flavored noodles.
Snack Break is at its best when it is nothing more than a thinly veiled excuse for John to eat something that no sane human being would normally try.
Yeah, that. Yeah. If you see it in the store, don't say I didn't warn you.
Hey, it is exactly what it says on the tin. You get exactly what you're paying for.
Yeah. Yeah. And now it's time for our final section. Bake it away, Thomas.
Well, if you've a long-time listener to the podcast, you remember a couple of weeks ago we talked about some custom-made masks that were going around that are for just general flu and fever and also for people suffering from hay fever.
Yeah,
now,
they have, like, special stamps you can put on them and, like, special badges that you put on the masks.
Now, obviously, hay fever is not a single issue for Japan. It is an international problem. But it seems, according to a headline I stumbled across this week, that hay fever is particularly bad in Japan, which is made even weirder by the fact that whilst everyone knew it existed, it wasn't really that big a deal until a few decades ago. But since then, it's now grown to be called the national illness of Japan somehow. Now, that's obviously a very interesting premise to someone like me who suffers from hay fever. I was like, that sounds like fun. I'll have a look and see what that's about. Little did I know just how deep the rabbit hole went on Japan's hay fever epidemic.
Thomas, do you mean that the national disease of Japan is not overwork?
I don't think the Japanese government recognises that as a disease, John, so it wouldn't count.
Point taken. Please continue.
So, with all great stories about Japan, we have to go back to the war.
Oh, God. Which one?
That's a very good question, John. You haven't read this article, I'm assuming. You had a look at it and thought, yeah, this is fun.
I read part of it.
Fantastic. Okay, you can correct me if I get anything wrong here.
No, I can't.
As everyone remembers, the Second World War was not kind to Japan. It decimated pretty much every living capacity of the country, both the cities and the wildlife. And once the war was over, Japan had something of a lumber shortage. For reasons I can't imagine why. Definitely nothing to do with all the firebombing that happened. But they really needed wood, and importing wood was very expensive.
I will also say that Japan just builds everything out of wood. Like,
yes,
that's like part of it as well. Like, basically at this time, all Japanese housing and like all Japanese, like, I saw torches. I went to the local museum. I saw a torch made out of bamboo, as in a flashlight made out of bamboo. From the war, because they didn't have metal. Like, metal wasn't readily available, but bamboo was. So you've just got the insides of a torch in just a wooden thing of bamboo. It was amazing.
That's fantastic. Oh, I love that. Obviously, when you're just recovering from a war, you have a lot of different priorities as a government, especially if you're trying to rebuild the country. So the Japanese government plan was to find the most efficiently growing and cheapest to produce woods they could find. And if I remember correctly, the wood they found was a type of, cedar tree, Japanese cedar tree. A native tree, which was nice. They didn't bring in an invasive species or anything. But basically, because they needed wood and they needed money desperately, they tore out as much forest as possible and replanted it all with cedar tree. Which, worked out pretty well in the short term, as you might imagine. But the problem is that cedar produces a lot of pollen. Like, to the extent now where, I don't know if John's ever witnessed this, I don't know if he's near any large cedar forests, but you will see large clouds of pollen just billowing up from the cedar forests in Japan, which was quite startling for people who hadn't seen that before, because they thought the forest was on fire initially.
So I've not seen this. I have seen all my co-workers suffering with cedar allergies, and this is the thing that on the news they were big, like it was a high cedar pollen count, and loads of my co-workers were having like hay fever and stuff. I was like, oh, is everyone okay? So, yeah, cedar pollen. Because the thing is, the most common hay fever in the West is not cedar or not tree-based pollen, it's grass-based pollen. Mm-hmm. So I suffer from hay fever and I'm fine. My kind of allergy is based on grass pollen and not this cedar pollen. So I'm sure the science is very interesting. I don't understand it. But, like, cedar pollen, like, allergy thing is huge. And, like, that's their experience of hay fever. Whereas in the West, it's very different. Our thing is, well, hay, grass. That's why we call it hay fever.
Yes, mowing the lawn is an agonizing experience for me. But it sounds like I'd be good in Japan, which would be great. But, yes, so if back up to speed. Japan used to have a fairly small cedar tree population, meaning that not many people suffered from cedar tree allergy. But once they just replaced every living tree in the country with cedar, that became much more obvious and much more prevalent. Fun fact, though, the somewhat counterintuitively, it might seem initially, the hay fever allergies are far more severe in cities than they are in the countryside. Because whilst the countryside will have plenty of space for the pollen to go and be absorbed into the ground and stuff, as you would, it just sort of bounces off cement and tarmac and stuff. So you just have a constant cloud of hay fever in a city where it would actually dissipate in the countryside. Not to mention things like diesel pollution also just exacerbate the symptoms of hay fever massively. So good luck with that. I think you're fairly safe, John. You're out in a nice open area around your place.
Yep, and I'm like next to the sea, so
you're fine.
I'm not too bad. Also, I don't have cedar allergies.
I meant more the people living near you, but yes.
Them. But yeah. They already have to deal with me. They'll be fine. But no, it's also the thing, like, if you watch one of my favourite animes, Hataraku Saibo, also known as Cells at Work, which also I know that some of the science teachers in my school use to, like, teach the kids. It's great. In that, there's one of the episodes is dealing with, like, inside the body. It's basically anime boys and girls, but they're your cells. And one of the episodes is about cedar pollen and how the body overreacts to cedar pollen. And, like, the cedar pollen is just these, like, big, overweight, like, Mr. Blobby guys just going around going...
Oh, that's horrifying. The last thing I need in my bloodstream is Mr. Blobby. Oh, no.
Have you seen this episode?
I think I watched 3 episodes of Cells at Work. Maybe 2. I don't think I got to the Hayfever section. The real question, John, is have you kept up with Cells at Work Black? I don't think that's what they'll be showing in your schools, but you never know.
I hear that's quite brutal.
That is... Oh my god, that is horrifying. Yep. I think you're accurate with Mr. Blobby, and now I will not go to sleep tonight because I'll be worrying every time I sneeze about Mr. Blobby being in my system. So thanks for that, John.
He's inside you.
I think what John pointed out earlier, that cedar pole hay fever is different from grass hay fever, or regular hay fever, I guess, is that the symptoms are quite different. Well, not quite different. They're worse in Japan, especially because there's so much of it. It's almost impossible to get away from. So it's actually causing quite a bit of issues because it actually keeps people from going outside or going to work because they're stuck indoors because otherwise they'll be, struggling to breathe or have the tears streaming from their eyes from how terrible the hay fever problem is. So it's actually like a serious issue. That's what's making it such a national concern, is that it's actually impacting the economy. It's gotten so bad.
Yep, so I've looked at the stats. It's about 90% of people with hay fever are allergic to grass pollen. So the other 10% are trees and weeds. And so, so hay fever in Japan is called kafunsho, which means pollen illness.
I mean, that's accurate.
By the way, this cedar tree is not a member of the cedar family because reasons.
It's a Japanese cedar tree, John. It doesn't have to be actually a cedar tree. That would be asking too much of it.
Apparently here there are hay fever relief vacations people can take, which go to low pollen areas like Okinawa and Hokkaido. And some people in Japan, well, this is Wikipedia and I can't see anyone citing this, but some people use medical laser therapy to desensitize the parts of their nose that are sensitive to pollen.
Oh, give me some of that. I'll book that in after my laser eye surgery just so I can just pump as many lasers into my face as possible.
He is Laser Man.
So, yeah, and there's obviously some other serious issues that replacing all the trees in your country with cedar are, which is that Japan now has too much. It no longer needs to be imported. Well, it no longer needs the lumber it's producing because it has far more. And turns out importing lumber is now much cheaper. So it doesn't need to even worry about producing its own lumber anymore, which is fun for that. Also, it's caused massive environmental damage, as you might imagine, because it's destroyed the biodiversity of the ecosystem, which leads to things like soil degradation as well as other problems. Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah, by the way, guys, soil degradation is a real issue in a country with horrendous natural disasters, including mudslides, typhoons, tsunamis, volcanoes, etc. Earthquakes. Yeah, you really don't want your ground to be unstable when you're getting earthquakes.
It's Japan. They're making their own artificial land because they don't have enough. They can't afford to lose any of it because they've planted too many trees. Well, not the right types of trees at the very least. So, Japan now has to pursue a very extensive and expensive environmental campaign in order to reintroduce the biodiversity of its trees and get rid of all the cedar that they planted, which is going to take forever, apparently. About 200 years, the article from Unseen Japan said, I think. So it'll be good to know that in like 6 or 7 generations' time, this problem will be fixed. Whether we'll last that long remains to be seen.
Whether we will still have noses to be streaming and eyes to be itchy.
Yes, so in summary, short-term planning by a desperate government has led to massive problems in the long term. Who would have imagined? That doesn't sound like Japan at all.
To be continued, because that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for listening, everyone. We've been Geeks and Gaijins. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and more. You can also email us at geeksandgaijins at gmail.com. We're, of course, on everywhere you can find podcasts. If we are not on one of those places, you can email us at aforementioned email, geeksandgaijins at gmail.com. And also Twitter. Message Thomas on Twitter. He's the most active person.
Hello, it's me. I'm on Twitter occasionally. I say occasionally, twice a day at least. I've got a problem.
And we also have a YouTube channel where we upload the podcast as well as Thomas having some lovely anime hot takes as well in video essay form.
Yes, thank you for everyone who's watched my isekai video. It's been doing really well recently.
Yeah.
I was honestly surprised it breached 1,000 views. So that's fun.
Watch out, we got a badass over here.
It's only up from here.
And we will eventually be back on Twitch when we're not both dying. Who knows what's going on? Don't trust me.
I might need a new computer before then, so don't hold your breath, unfortunately.
Indeed. But anyway, thank you for listening, guys, and we will see you next week in Japan.
Bye.